Hi and welcome to today's episode, which is all about making a seasonally relevant baked good. When I first launched the channel, I published the jammy custards, which are a kind of hybrid of two of my favourite biscuits from back in the day, custard creams and jammy dodgers. At the time, I thought, oh, it'd be interesting to do more of these little hybrids. I've been thinking for a couple of years now, maybe I should do a pie, tart kind of thing. Now that we're fully in autumn and coming up on the holiday season, I thought, oh, maybe I could do kind of a sweet potato pecan pie hybrid. Mine's going to be somewhat different because obviously I'm going to veganize it, but also the sweet potato pie, when I've been looking online, it seems to be thickened with starches, whereas I'm going to bake it down a little bit like I did for the chocolate and chestnut tart. So I'm going to reduce it down just so it thickens up that way rather than adding starches into it. So I'm going to do the sweet potato on the bottom and then put the pecan mixture on the top. To serve with it, I thought it'd be interesting to try and make a cranberry ice cream, and I'm going to do it the same way that I did for the marmalade ice cream in the ice cream sandwiches. This time I bought a jar of cranberry sauce and then I'll blend that with silken tofu and coconut cream. I'll start with the pastry first because that needs to chill after I've mixed it all together. This is an old cookbook of my mum's, the Fanny Farmer baking book, and it's got loads and loads of American kind of baking recipes in here. So I had a look to see if I could find a pecan pie recipe, which there is, but then I saw she recommended making one of them with cornmeal pastry. So I've had a look at that recipe and thought, yeah, that might be really nice to try because I've not done pastry with cornmeal before. I'm going to tweak it slightly because I need to veganize it, and hers isn't sweetened, whereas I do want a little bit of sweetness in the crust as well. So I've got a cup of plain flour, it's about 150 grams. I've got half a cup of fine cornmeal, that's about 60 grams. If you can't find cornmeal anywhere, see if you can get some polenta and then just grind that down because it's the same thing. Quarter teaspoon of salt, that's just going to bring the flavors out nicely. Sieve that together. I'm doing half a cup of dark muscovado sugar. You can use any kind of sugar you want, but I really like the kind of depth and complexity that muscovado's got. I've got half a cup of vegan butter, that's about 110 grams. It's important that the butter's room temperature, otherwise it'll be too hard to incorporate it into the flours. Then I'll work the butter into the flours with a fork. I'm trying to keep my fingers out of here for now because it's going to melt the butter otherwise. You know, my body temperature will melt the butter. So I'm kind of mashing it down. I want it to get to kind of a sandy sort of consistency. You can also put other bits and pieces in the dough as well. If you wanted some nuts in there, that's absolutely fine. You could do like chopped hazelnuts maybe, or chopped pecans if you want to really boost up the pecan flavour. I'm going to sprinkle on some cold water. I'll do 1 tablespoon at a time, so that's 1. And then fork that through. 1 more and I think that'll be it. So that's come together nicely. Fanny's recipe doesn't say to do this, but I'm going to rest the dough in the fridge. I'm going to chill it. I looked online to try and get an explanation of why you should chill pastry. Apparently it's to allow the gluten to relax, but also prevents shrinkage and stops it browning too quickly. So I'm just going to bring it together in the cling film, make it into a ball. It's coming together really nicely. It's quite soft in texture. All right, so yeah, cover that over and tuck it in the fridge. While the pastry's chilling, I'm going to crack on with the sweet potato. So I've chopped them down and cooked them in the microwave. Similar process to how I did them for the gnocchi. So I just chopped them, put them in a bowl with a lid, no extra water, and then did it with 5-minute blasts. I think I did it 15 minutes in total until a knife went in without any resistance. The reason I opted for the microwave to cook them is to restrict the amount of water that I'd need to go in, because if I steam them or boil them, then you have to add more liquid to it. I'm actually just going to take the peels off because it just makes it a little bit less messy. So I think that should come away relatively easily. Just peel them like that. And somebody wants some attention. Give me 1 second. So this is Shadow. Shadow, hey monkey. Come on man. Hi baby. Huh? Hi. Hello. So Shadow is 3 years old and I adopted him and his brother, and they're great big massive Maine Coons. Look how massive he is. Hey. You're gonna say hi to YouTube? Say hi to YouTube. It's so nice having them in the house. I'm going to rice the sweet potato. You can rub it through a sieve as well, that's fine. Just fill up the chamber. Push the top down. Squirt it through. And as soon as you're done with the rice, get it in water. Ideally wash it straight away, but at least soak it immediately because otherwise the holes get blocked up. I'm going to put a little bit of spicing in here. I'll do maybe half a teaspoon or so of cinnamon. I'm going to grate in some nutmeg, so that's what a whole nutmeg looks like. You can buy it ground as well, but I prefer whole because then it's just a bit fresher. So I'll do maybe 1/4 teaspoon. I'm going to grate some licorice root into mine as well. So that's what a licorice root looks like. It doesn't really taste of licorice per se, like a licorice candy, but it's got really delicious sweetness to it that I really like. Obviously, if you don't have it or you don't like it, just skip it, that's fine. Just put other spices in. You could use allspice, that kind of thing. So again, about a quarter teaspoon of that or so. I thought I was out of allspice and I'm not, so I'm just gonna put some of that in as well. I'll do a quarter teaspoon. You might also see it as pimenton maybe. Give that a mix together. The sweet potato's got this really nice kind of sticky, rich thickness to it. And also it's a great way of getting sweetness into a dessert without having to use tons of sugar. So I'm gonna get it nice and even if I can in the dish. I'm gonna microwave this one to reduce it. Normally I do it in the oven, but I wanna see if it's possible in the microwave. I've weighed the puree and I've got about 630 grams, which so means I've lost 270-ish through peeling it, but also moisture's come out of it as it's cooked. So yeah, so it's reduced already. I'm gonna take it down a little bit more, maybe take off a quarter of that liquid just so it gets really firm and dense. Oh, here's Bam Bam. Come on, Bam Bam. Hello. Hi. Hey, hello. Here's a puree after 5 minutes. So I'm just gonna stir it, let some of the steam out, and then I'll flatten it back down again. Nothing looks to be burning, so that's a good sign. The reason I'm leveling it out is that if you get any sharp ridges, that's where you start getting burning. It's the same principle as I did for the sweet potato fudge. I'll stick a link to that in the description as well for you. So put that in for another 5. I'm gonna try something out with the ice cream maker. So I got this, this bubble wrap that's kind of metallic. I'm gonna line the inside of the ice cream maker and see if it insulates the cold a little bit more, just to keep the cold in there. That's had another 5 minutes, let's have a check. Might give this away, see where we're at. So it's now 561. So yeah, I'll do another 5-10 minutes, I think. This is the tin I'm gonna use for baking the pie. It's got these holes in. Apparently that makes it extra crispy. Probably around 23 centimeters or so. Yeah, it's a couple inches deep. I'm preheating the oven at 180C. That's a fan oven, so you wanna go 200 if it's non-fan. The puree's had another 5 minutes, so let's have a check. Yeah, I think this is gonna be good to go. Because there's quite a lot of fibers here, I've decided I'm gonna run it through a sieve. So I'm just gonna do that as quick as I can. So I'm just using a spoon to push it through a sieve. Just broken the bloody sieve. The downside to sieving means I've lost a bit more, but it's gonna give it a much nicer texture, much smoother. So I'm gonna add in some coconut cream to this, mix that in and see what it's like. And I'm adding this in for a bit of richness, sort of fatty indulgence, but you can skip that if you don't want it in. Might add a little bit more cinnamon, half teaspoon or so. I'm gonna do a touch of salt as well, not much, like a quarter teaspoon, if that, just to lift the flavour. Perfect. So I'll put that to the side, ready for when I need to fill the pie. On to rolling the pastry. Dust the counter with some flour, just so nothing sticks. I'm gonna start rolling the pastry out. Just gonna dust a little flour on top, just because it's very sticky. Just keep lifting it and turning it. So that's probably half a centimetre thick, 3 mils, something like that. So I'm gonna roll it back onto the rolling pin, if I can. Just to make it easy to lift. That's not what I wanted to happen, but we'll get it in there somehow. Okay, I'm gonna pick up the edges and use that to lower it into there. I'll make sure I'm in all of the corners, so just spin it around. And then where bits kind of overlap, I'm just pushing that down to even it up. Oh yeah, and I forgot to say, I've put these bits of baking parchment in just to help me lift it out later. I'm gonna pull off major bits of overhang, but I'm gonna blind bake it with most of it on and then cut it off after. I don't know if I've ever done that before, but it does give a neater finish, so I'm gonna attempt to do it today. So I'm gonna line it with some greaseproof paper. It's all scrunched up just to make it easier to get in there. And then I've got a mixture of dried beans there. So I'm gonna tuck this into the oven for 15-20 minutes. Got that on the middle shelf. I've just noticed the bits overhanging have dropped off in the oven. So I would maybe cut that back further. I guess this pastry is just too soft. Onto the ice cream. It's going to be super quick to make. I'm just going to blend it up and then put it into a jug and put that in the fridge for 10-15 minutes just to get it as cold as possible before it goes into the ice cream maker. If you've got an ice cream maker, like a proper one that chills it electrically, you won't need to do this step, but because mine's like a frozen insert that thaws. So I just want everything as cold as I can going in. I'm going to use 1 full carton of silken tofu. That's about 350 grams. Make sure it's the silken, that's what you need. So put that in. Then I'll do a full carton of coconut cream. So that's 250 mils. That's the cranberry sauce I'm going to use. That in. Give that a blast. I'm going to lift the beans out. It's getting nice and crisp on the top, but then here it's still a bit wet. I mean, not wet, but not dry. So I'm going to put that in for another 5 to 10 minutes on its own. I'm going to scrape the sides down, and I'm also going to add in some extra flavouring bits. In case you haven't seen the ice cream sandwich video, the inspiration for that, I froze some jelly, some jam, to put inside peanut butter cookies, and they went very gelatinous. So I thought that might be really good for using for ice cream, because then it won't set quite as hard as ice cream sometimes does. So that was kind of the inspiration for that. So that's again what I'm doing with this, because cranberries have got loads of natural pectin in them, which is why it's like a jelly. I'm going to use a little bit of citric acid just to make it more tangy and sour, but you could use a bit of lemon juice as well, that's fine. So it looks like granulated sugar. It's that kind of appearance. The colour of it is kind of a very pale pink, and I'm going to cheat that a little bit and add a tiny touch of beetroot powder. Not essential at all, but I just want it a little bit more vivid in colour. So I'll do again about a 1/4 teaspoon. To nudge it into the dairy flavour, I'm going to pop in a heaped teaspoon of Nooch, nutritional yeast. I'm also going to add in a tablespoon of pomegranate and rose gin, partly to boost up the berry flavour, and partly, again, to help stop it freezing as solid. Lid on and blast it again. Give it a taste, see if it needs anything else. I'm going to do 1/2 teaspoon of citric acid and 1/2 teaspoon of beetroot, and then I think we'll be good to go. A little touch more Nooch as well, I think. Just another small pinch, and the pie crust is good to go. It feels a little bit crisp, a bit sandy on top. So it has shrunk, even despite me chilling it. I'm going to very carefully trim off the excess pastry here. I'm using a serrated blade. And I think the thought is that doing it like this means it doesn't shrink in the pan, but as we've seen, that doesn't necessarily work. This pastry is very brittle, so it's not as neat as I'd like it, but it is what it is. Onto the pecan pie filling. I'm going to use a recipe that I found on BBC Good Food because it sounded nice and easy. I'll stick the link to the original in the recipe for you. So I need 150 grams of light brown sugar, and then 100 grams of vegan butter. And then I'm adding 1/4 teaspoon of salt. It's not in the original, but I want it in there just to boost the flavour up a touch. We need 150 grams of maple syrup. And then I'm going to start melting that on the stove. While that mixture melts together, I'm going to quickly chop down these pecans. This is 150 grams, and then I've got 100 grams of the nicest looking halves that I could find, and they're going to stay whole. That'll go on the top. So that's about the size we want. Not too big, not too little. So it's time to start building the pie. When I was doing the sugar, I suddenly realised my microphone was almost dead. So I've had to plug everything back into charge, and then I filmed bits in close-up for you without the mic. Once the maple syrup, sugar and butter had melted, I then whisked in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch until everything was nice and smooth, and then put that to the side to cool down a bit. So that's where we are with that. So it's slightly thickened, looking very glossy and lovely. So the cats are making themselves right at home. So we've got Shadow on the table. Hey, beautiful. Hi. You're very handsome. And then Bam Bam has taken himself under the chair in a wee little hole. Hey, Bam Bam. The ice cream's churning nicely. I did probably half the mixture and then put the other half just in a tub in the freezer. Because I've used the high-speed blender on it, it's full of air, so I think that might go a bit like a parfait kind of thing. This machine, the capacity of it wouldn't have been enough to do that full amount and get it churned. So this probably needs another 5-10 minutes, and then I'm going to put that in a tub in the freezer to finish up. Here's the sweet potato mixture. So it's all thickened. Dollop the sweet potato mixture in. Just going to try and get this nice and even in there. Nice and flat. And I'll just push that to the side while I crack on with the pecan mixture. This is 300 grams of silken tofu. Can you see that liquid that's at the bottom? I'm just going to pour that away. Just going to smash that down with a fork a little bit. The original recipe suggests adding a tablespoon of rum. I don't have any rum in, so I'm going to add some brandy, just for a bit of extra kick really. A teaspoon of vanilla extract. Do another 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Tofu is a very bland product. And then a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Again, you can use any kind of spices in here if you want. And then I'm going to go in and blend these together. Blend that until it's nice and smooth, which it is. Just giving this a quick whisk to make sure there's no lumps of cornstarch, because I thought there was, but I think they're actually just bubbles. And then mix the tofu mixture into there. We'll give this a mix. Make sure that's just thoroughly combined. And I'm going to tip in the chopped pecans. So tip those in. I think this might be too much of a tin. Well, we'll see. Let's see what we can do. Before I do that, I'm going to take the ice cream out. That's where we are with the ice cream. See, if I shake it, you can hear the liquids melting. It is still quite frozen, I can feel it, but I don't think it's going to get much firmer, so I might as well take it out now. Yes, that's thickened up real nice. And the flavour of it is a bit like frozen yoghurt. I think that cranberry sauce must have been smooth because I've not seen any skins yet. Okay, back to the pie. I'm going in with a pecan filling, and now it's time to decorate. In terms of the decoration, just do whatever you want. Whatever you can be bothered doing. Yeah, I think that'll do. That's the amount I've got left. I think I'm going to put it on a baking sheet just to make it easier to get it in and out of the oven. And that'll go in probably, I think, 25 minutes, and then I'm going to drop the temperature to 160. It's at 180 at the moment still. Yeah, so I'll see you back in a bit. Pie's had 25 minutes in the oven, so let's pull it out, have a look, and then I'm going to drop the temperature to 160, which is about 320, 325 Fahrenheit. So they put the remainder in little dishes, so they can just bubble away on their own. That's looking great. Again, I wish I could do smelly vision for you, because this, oh, it smells incredible. So yeah, I'm going to pop that back in, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like at this stage. That needs to then cool completely in the tin. So I think because it's fully dark now and I need to go out later, so I think we're going to pick it back up tomorrow and do some eating. Yes. It is time for some pie. Doesn't that look incredible? It's the following afternoon and I've been impatiently waiting to get everything set up so I can get stuck into this pie. Poured the remaining mixture into some little tins that are lined with greaseproof and then had a nibble of one of them last night. It's so good. Because these were underneath the pie itself, the inside of them's not fully set, but I think it should be fine. But the outside of it is delicious, very chewy, like a candy. Got me thinking that might make a nice little kind of candy bonbon kind of thing. Do it maybe a bit thinner, cover a whole baking tray with it, bake it until it's hard, then chop bits off and roll it into balls. You could either have them just naked as little balls like that, or dust them in cocoa powder, or dunk them in melted chocolate. Or this is all of the off-cut pastry. So I'm thinking maybe crush that down into like a fine crumb and roll them in that. I think that would be delicious. So you've got some options there. But now it's time to cut this open. Oh, I'm very excited. No idea what it's going to look like inside. So the crust is very crumbly. That looks incredible. Yes. There's a very nice kind of clear layer, which is exactly what I was going for. Ooh, let's have a dive into some of this because that's looking incredible. Screaming, eat me. So the pecan layer looks a tiny bit soft maybe. I mean, I followed their recipe, so I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be like. I'd prefer it maybe a bit chewier than that, a bit harder. But it could also be the moisture from the sweet potato that's kind of lifted up and steamed up into the pecan layer. Bottoms up. Those flavors are amazing together. Despite there being lots of sweet things in together, it's not overwhelmingly sweet or anything. There's some nice textures in there as well. So the pastry's nice and crisp and crunchy. Then the pecan layer with the chopped pecans, that's got a nice bit of crunch. There's the soft smoothness of the sweet potato. That's very pleasing. It doesn't feel like it's going to be too heavy either, you know, like sit really heavy in your stomach by the time I've eaten that whole thing. Tried the cranberry sauce ice cream. Now it had frozen pretty solid when I took it out the freezer. So I stuck it in the microwave for 30 seconds and then dragged a spoon through it and it, you know, comes off easily enough, and then just press it together into one little lump. And it's not melting super quick. I've had that on the plate like that for about half an hour, 20 minutes maybe. The only sugar really that's in this was the sugar that's in the cranberry sauce, and then you've got the natural sweetness from the coconut cream. But that means it's just not sweet, really. There's a mild sweetness to it. It's not sour. There's a lovely creamy texture, but it doesn't coat your mouth like dairy ice cream does, because I never really enjoyed dairy ice cream. But vegan ice creams, they just leave your palate much cleaner. They don't sit and just be claggy and sickly. The light fruity flavour from the ice cream is just going really nicely with the pie flavours, because they're kind of deep and rich and spicy, whereas that's light and tangy and fresh. I'm not detecting any flavour from the cornmeal that I put in the crust, but it is very crisp and crunchy, so perhaps it's more of a texture thing than it is a flavour thing. I think that'll work with any kind of pastry, like as long as it's short crust. So like the hazelnut pastry, if you want to get more nuts in there, that I did with the chocolate and chestnut sweet potato tart. In terms of time, it's not a quick one. I mean, I'll be honest, but you know, if you're going to do it as kind of if you're having a dinner party or like a, you know, Christmas dinner, that kind of thing, and you want something to spend a bit of time on, it's a great one for that. And you can easily save time by buying a pie crust. You could make the sweet potato puree even a couple of days in advance. The pecan layer took maybe 20 minutes of work, something like that. I think the lengthiest thing, realistically, was decorating the top, putting the pecans on the top. Even the pastry was quick enough to do. I think maybe 5 minutes to crumb it down, another couple of minutes to bring everything together. Each component just took a little bit of time, which is why the whole thing took time. But it's not an excessive amount of work or anything. I'm wondering if it'd be possible to serve that warm. So maybe stick it in the air fryer if you've got one, or in the oven. Yeah, and just heat it up for a few minutes just to get the top, you know, warm. I think trying to get the whole thing hot will be a bit of a challenge, because I don't know if the sweet potato and the pecan layer, I don't know if they're just going to start oozing, you know, if they get too warm. It's worth a shot. Just put it on something like on baking paper just in case. Hit subscribe and tap the bell icon if you want more fantastically delicious vegan goodies landing in your inbox each week. And in the meantime, head over to this one.